Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
We remember 9/11, 2001. The evil that attacked us and destroyed so many lives and families. Please never forget what evil did to America. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on this Tuesday, September 11th. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, and Wheels, I need you to turn the feed line up to me just a little bit, please. Having a hard time trying to hear things. We're, of course, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big fall tire sale right now. And don't forget some of our outstanding advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Let's go to the phone line right now and have our Pledge of Allegiance on this very important day. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, and thank you for calling in. I hope you have an outstanding day. Thank you so much.
You're sure welcome.
God bless. Thank you. Oh, my. It is time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by our friends at K&R Rental. Yes, sirree, Bob, at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Hello, Roger and the crew. Now, you still know that there's going to be ample time and ample need to mow your lawns. Well, they are the proud distributor of the Skag lawnmowers over at K&R Rental. And I'll tell you what, they've got all the tools and equipment to finish any kind of a construction project. All you need to do is just get a hold of them and find out what you need. They've got it. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. And right now, here's the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day here in the valley. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 80. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 49. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 74. By tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, clouds are going to be rolling into the valley. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies for Wednesday night with a low of 49. Those clouds are going to stick around for Thursday. Mostly cloudy skies with a high of 72, overnight low of 45. Hopefully by Friday we'll see a little bit more sunshine. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 74, warming up to 77 under sunny skies for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Beautiful, beautiful fall weather right here in the Magic Valley. Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Like I said, they get there early in the morning to serve you. Telephone number to call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Want to also remind you that Thursday is sale day. Every Thursday at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. My, the number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. The sale that works for you with Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. Don't forget Thursday sale day at 10:30 at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Want to say a big shout out and a thank you to a dear friend. John Bond came by yesterday, and we had the nicest visit for a while out in the old backyard, enjoying the shade in the fall. And, John, thank you very much for stopping by our house. We do appreciate you. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Darrow's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness. They are a full-service cleaners. Let me tell you, not only cleaning and pressing and taking care of all your clothes so they look brand spanking new, but they'll also do your wash. That's right. All you need to do is stop in, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes. If you're in a pinch for time, they can absolutely help you, and they will. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. The smoke has finally caught up with me, my voice. I feel good, but my voice is not good.
I understand.
But what I wanted to mention about was the Hometown Hero Award that was given last night, which I remember when you were named that.
Yes.
And I was so proud of you. You know, and last night they had a hero that was quite close to me. He was my cousin, Larry Cotton.
Yes.
Larry was very instrumental in the VA program. Does a lot of funerals, you know, as a VA, not the VA, but just the veterans put on.
Right.
And for 4 or 5 years, he ran the van to Boise almost on a daily basis, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing it. Something that was absolutely no pay for it, just gratitude. And I'd like to thank him for what he's done.
Well, let me jump in a little bit on this. And we had every intention of being there last night, but sometimes in my life, things change at the last minute, and we couldn't go. We had some people stop by. And I wanted to be sure and thank, and I was going to in a few moments, but you beat me to the punch, a congratulatory remark to Larry Cotton, and winner and recipient of the Hometown Hero last night. And, of course, another person that goes along with this, our thanks to Jerry Voss on behalf of the Modern Woodman and all they do. Jerry, outstanding individual, and I'm honored to have been chosen 1 year in the past, and Larry Cotton, very, very fitting that he wins that award. Not win, but is a very notable recipient of that award.
You know, sometimes we talk the talk, but we don't do the walk.
I agree.
And Larry has went the extra mile.
I agree with you. Congratulations, Larry, and thank you, Keith. That was very nice of you to say that, and I hope you and your lovely bride, who did a wonderful job on the pledge, have a good day.
Thank you very much.
All right, God bless. Thank you. Larry Cotton, of course, good friend of this program and everything, and I really did, and I know Jerry's listening this morning, I did want to get over there and share a part of the honoring of Larry last night, but it just didn't work out, so I apologize. Sometimes I feel like, you're even pulled in 47 different directions, and it just didn't work out. I'm sorry. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs are right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. That's not a brag. That is a fact. Absolutely. They've been in business for almost 6 decades. Wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And really good folks to work with, knowledgeable people serving you at Ramsey Heating and Electric. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Excuse me. The old smoke's in my throat, too. Number to call, 678-0459. I want to say thank you also to our friends at Denny's Restaurant. Now, the reason I bring this up this morning is twofold. Not only to tell you about the great food and the service at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, but to also alert you that next Thursday on the 20th, next Thursday, we will be over there for lunch bunch. Everybody calls. Everybody says, when's lunch bunch? Well, it's going to be the 20th. Next Thursday at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. They also have another restaurant, Denny's Restaurant, to serve you at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Don't forget, it's true. They are America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Today is the 17-year remembrance of, like I said at the beginning of this program, evil. Pure evil hitting America, hitting the United States with devastating terror. Today is the remembrance of 9/11 and the killing of over 2,997 people that were just going to work, or were sitting at their desks in the Trade Center and the Pentagon. I don't think any event is any more etched in my memory. I know exactly where I was, right here in the studio, taking notes for the morning's program. I know exactly what I was doing. My wife was getting ready to leave for her job. And then all of a sudden, she came running into my office and said, an airplane has hit the World Trade Center. Well, first thoughts, it was an accident, a tragic and terrible accident. And then, of course, soon after, another plane hit the other tower, and we all knew at that time it was not an accident. It was absolute terror against this program, or against this country. I went on the program that morning, and believe me, everything was really sketchy. We were getting news reports coming in from all over the United States. I had contacted, prior to going on the air, a lot of people that I knew back in New York that were connected with law enforcement, and believe me, it was, and you can understand, very hard to get through and get any answers. But I really remember one person in particular that I got a hold of, a gentleman that I had met back in that area the year before when I was back announcing an event in Gladstone, New Jersey for the United States Equestrian Team. His son was one of the policemen that had ran to the Twin Towers. It was not known at that time when I talked to him briefly, and it was a very brief conversation. I extended my God's blessings and prayers for his son. I did not know at the time, nor did he, that his son was not coming home. And so therefore, a real note of sadness close to me ever since 9/11 were the friendships that I had back in that area. These were sick Muslim terrorists that wanted to exercise their evil here in this country. And you know, since then, I feel that we have been softened as a nation and jaded by the media and politics. But I will say this morning, and I'd really like your thoughts about this remembrance of 9/11, 17 years ago. I feel that we should never forget. Never forget the terror, the fear, and the lives that were lost. And I give credit where credit is due on various instances in the news And Fox News this morning, I give credit to, because they played a kind of a decoupage, if you will, or whatever, of the film that was shot during that morning of the planes hitting the towers, the fires, the explosions, and yes, the horror of seeing people jump out of the building. They were either going to burn to death or die by jumping out of the towers. So many people have said, oh, we shouldn't see that. So many people have said, oh, that's too horrendous, never show it again. But I beg to differ and argue, if I have the choice, that each and every one of us, especially our children, should know what evil did to this country and why we need to fight evil, kill it, and get rid of it. Your thoughts would be welcome on this day, Tuesday, September 11th, remembering 9/11. Well, we have just a moment. I also want to acknowledge our dear friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call so that they can help you get back to being you is 678-1191. 678-1191. Nick Greenwell heads up all the physical therapists over there. They are excellent. They know all the exercises, and, of course, they've got the hydrotherapy pool. Oh, it's a dandy outfit. Let me tell you, they can help you, like I said, get back to being you. Call them today for an appointment at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Caller, I'll be right there. I've got to get one more good word out of the way this morning, and as soon as I get a hold of that good word in my hand, I will tell you about it. Purple Shovel Market. Yes, an outdoor market is going to take place this Saturday, September 15th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and, of course, the host is the Nature Nursery at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley, right across from the Burley Golf Course. You can't miss it. Great facility, and they're going to have antiques and crafts and food vendors and unique finds. I love that, unique finds. All of this and more this coming Saturday the 15th from 10 to 4 at the Purple Shovel Market. Right there with the Nature Nursery. Don't you miss it. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah, I remember I was hauling cattle feed that morning when that happened. I started back then, that's the job I had. I started about 3 in the morning, and I'd usually get done around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And I remember hearing about it on the radio, and when I got home, I turned the TV on, and I just couldn't tear myself away seeing those images. It was just, it's burned in my brain. I can see the people just jumping out of that building. You're up 100 floors, and you're going to jump. I mean, what they were going through up there is just, there's no way you can imagine it.
Well, and Doug, there's another aspect to this story, too, that I don't think is mentioned enough, is the horror of the families that were talking to their friends and families inside the towers, and that final goodbye. I mean, I've sat and analyzed a lot of these tapes and what happened with the police and fire departments and emergency people going into the fracas, not running away, but going into to help others out. And the knowing that all of a sudden there's a rumble and a shake and there is no getting out. And for the people up on those higher floors that were absolutely on their cell phones, knowing that they were either going to be burned alive or have to jump, and said goodbye to their families. It's really hard for me to even comment on it 17 years later because of the tears.
Exactly. And the ones on that airplane that,
yes,
let's roll.
Yeah.
Knowing what was going to happen to them.
I just don't think that this country appreciates and respects
Those are the faces Nike should put on there. Just do it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I guess our minds are in the same channel this morning. How they being Nike or any other advertiser or major company, how they could put on the face of their advertising someone as low as Colin Kaepernick, anti-police, anti-flag, anti-respect for this country, when there are over 2,997 more worthy faces that died on 9/11.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And Kaepernick, he was put up for adoption, and the people that adopted him, he was raised with a golden spoon. He does not know oppression.
Well, I have nothing but sadness in my heart for what's happened in this country. And Wheels, I need you to turn the callers up. You got to ride that gain a little bit. I can barely hear Doug. Not only the sadness, but the remembering. And I'm so glad that there still is a remembrance. There are those that wanted to stop the remembrance of 9/11, and thank goodness they did not succeed.
Well, I bounced around this morning. I was watching the one I usually watch in the morning with Fox News, and I bounced around to the other channels to see if they were commenting on 9/11 and things that happened and stuff like that. Not a one of them until about 10 minutes till the end of their show, and then they showed a little bit.
Yeah.
They were all talking about how President Trump is taking this nation down, and how he's a disaster and he needs to be taken out. And it just shows their bias right there. They don't care about America. They don't care about American history. And one guy wrote a book, and he enlisted just after 9/11. He wrote a book, and he says now, in the history pages, in the schools are being taught, 9/11 has 2 pages.
Yeah.
Just 2 pages in the history book.
You know, you and I can sit here in southern Idaho, and we can talk about the horrors that took place. And I've been in some situations and locations. I was at the park in Atlanta, Georgia, and had just left at the 1996 Olympics when the bomb went off. I had been at the World Trade Center the year before this took place. And I told you I developed some of the friendships, one of which had his son, a police officer, that died during that day, 9/11. And I will never forget. I am not ever going to have anybody tell me that I shouldn't stop, pause, and remember the absolutely good people that have died in this country because of evil. And that even creates more of an animus in me to fight evil on this program.
Exactly. And our illustrious back President Obama claiming that the Benghazi deal on 9/11 was it 2012?
Yeah.
Was somewhere in that time, was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the gall of these people, it's out. I can't come up with the words to describe my feelings for them that I can say over the air.
And you know something? I admire you and others that are going to hold on to that contempt, that are going to hold on to that feeling of frustration and, yes, even hatred, because America should never forget when evil came here and took the lives of fellow Americans. And I'll guarantee you one thing. If we're not cautious and we're not observant, and we're not caring, and we don't pay attention to what's happening on, it is going to happen again, and it could be even worse.
Exactly. So we can't get complacent.
Absolutely.
We need to always be on guard, because evil is always going to try to succeed, and the only way it'll succeed is if good people do nothing.
I've got to run, Doug. Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments.
Okay. God bless everybody. Let's do what we can for our seniors.
Absolutely. Thank you. Caller, I know you're waiting. I will be there in just a second. I've got to tell everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. And right now, they have zero 0% for financing, and 0% interest up to 60 months on the Bobcats when you're purchasing a Bobcat. Wow, 0% interest up to 60 months on Bobcats. And that's, of course, at Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. They've got all the equipment for all the jobs, and they are ready to serve you. And if you don't know how to run the equipment, they got a big sandbox out behind. They'll teach you, I'll tell you. Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, I am so sorry. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I was thinking, I remember very well what I was doing. I was getting ready to go to work, but I was able to turn on the TV for just a moment and see a little of the horror. But I remember that whole day and the days after, how much our faith was expressed in prayer and our patriotism was expressed in many, many ways. And for some time after that, we saw that revival. But when times turn better, we tend to forget when things go well.
Yeah.
And so we become again, as we have, less prayerful perhaps in so many ways, and less patriotic over the years. And so it is definitely a help to have those reminders, because we are farther away. We do have our 4th of July celebrations, but we need to remember what that is all about too. But that's a little bit less close to us because of the many, many years that separate us. But we have got to remember, we cannot let that go.
There is no way, for as long as God gives me time on this earth, that I'm ever going to forget or disregard what people have done for me and my family to have the life that we have here in this country. And I don't care what a person's political affiliation is. I don't care what their stance is on any issue. But if they go against me, and they go against the flag, and they go against this country and our police and our military, they've got an enemy in me that will not shut up.
Yup. And I appreciate you for that very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. God bless you and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well,
Thank
see you at Lunch Bunch.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. I want to remind everybody at Ramsey Heating and Electric, they offer a service you can trust, along with Lennox products that can help keep you comfortable and save you money. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on brand new Lennox systems, so call them today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Don't forget, offering Lennox products, just another way to make you feel better. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. I think I finally got my voice. Anyway, I think as we go back in history and everything, not much is really talked about Flight 93. And those people, I think there was 5 of them that kind of took command of that aircraft that crashed in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And it's believed that it was headed for the White House. These people are real heroes.
Well, there's so many stories of heroism and, people running into the burning towers. And then, of course, the passengers on that plane and the final calls to their families on cell phones saying goodbye. I mean, you and I and everyone else listening to this program, we can't even touch or scratch the surface as to the horrendous mental anguish that was going on with these folks on that airliner before it was forced down in that field. We have no idea what was going on. We have no idea what it was like to dial your spouse on a cell phone and say goodbye.
Well, tears come to my eyes every time I hear that. Goodbye, and I don't know what else they said, but they let their spouse or whoever they were talking to let them know that this was the end of their life.
Yeah.
And that is so touching to me.
The humanity in what happened at 911 and the aftermath with the humanity and the still suffering of what happened with the diseases caused by the dust and the air particles that went into people's lungs, and people are still suffering. Many are still suffering from and have died from the causes of 911. And my heart goes out to all of them. But, Deanne and I had been in the exact location. Right next, I could have reached out and touched the wall of the Trade Center in New York. We were going down the street. We didn't have time to go inside the Trade Center. We were on a little bit of a tour. And then the next year, it's all gone. It's all gone. And it just really hit home to me that everything is so precious in life, and it can be taken away from you in an instant. And I urge people to remember what happened on this day 17 years ago, because there are others that want to do the same thing to us, even worse.
That is correct. And we've got to keep our guard up and be ready when these people appear.
Absolutely. Keith, I hope you feel better, old friend. Thank you so much. I got another call. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
You bet.
God bless. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
All right, great. I'm live. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I just wanted to thank you for the time. We're having a special thing at the Senior Junction in Burley. It is called also the Community Activity Center on 2421 Overland.
Yes.
And every Wednesday we have, it's called a activity night, cheap date night, in other words, for youth and kids and adults. We have ping pong around the world. We're starting that, and there's bingo and card games and board games. We're trying to do, less with the technology, on the phones and all that. And we're having line dancing coming soon, karaoke. You can come in and do anything for it's $2 a person. It's free on your birthday week. The money goes towards Meals on Wheels to feed the needy people. And also, I want to throw in this. There's a community yard sale this Saturday, 15th of September, from 9 to 2 p.m. You can rent a 12 by 12 space for $15, space of an area there. Bring your own table and your own shade and etc.
Okay. And all of this is going to be at the Senior Junction, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Every Wednesday from 6 to 9.
Okay.
Not the community yard sale. That's a little extra.
Absolutely.
Said at the end there.
Well, we appreciate your call from the Senior Junction, and we'll send everybody over. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun on what you call cheap date night tonight at the Senior Junction. And thank you for your call.
Tomorrow night, yes.
Yes, tomorrow night. I'm sorry, Wednesday night. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Nice lady right there talking about the Senior Junction. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I remember where I was, but I want to bring up a couple of other thoughts. You were talking about people jumping out of the windows, and the problem is that with younger people now, that Hollywood can reenact that and nobody gets hurt. And so I think our younger generation doesn't realize that was real. It wasn't, I jump out of, 10 feet and land in a box of foam or however they do that back there, and that's the one thought. And then my other thought is, and most people don't know this, but the tiny little airports, I live in Oakley, and there was a phone call came into our office, and it says it was the the FAA, and I was authorized to go to the airport, and if anybody landed, I was to go and tell them, you stay there right now, and if they tried to take off, I was to call the feds.
Yeah. There were so many...
Ordinary citizens were authorized to keep planes on the ground.
Yes.
We didn't know what was going on.
And I'm so glad you called with this point, caller, because there were so many things that happened immediately after the terrible, terrible planes crashing into the towers and the Pentagon and, of course, Flight 93 in that field in Pennsylvania. There were so many things that happened that a lot of people don't understand. Our transportation system in America literally was under a stoppage to the point where I was ready to fly out the next day. I had to fly to a rodeo, and absolutely everything was gone, done, couldn't go, nada. And people don't know that we're sitting at home or went to their job, how critical transportation in this country was at that time and how it was being closed down, scrutinized, and like you just brought up an excellent point with the smaller airports, etc. This nation was being watched to the nth degree because we didn't know if it was going to happen again.
Exactly, and the people who were, and I felt sorry for people who were stuck in airports, but would you rather be stuck in the airport or on Flight 93 or
exactly.
The Pentagon or the World Trade Center?
Absolutely.
Get your priorities straight, people,
Well, and as it worked out, I had to leave for a rodeo that was out of state, and flight couldn't get on the flight and everything, so I just quickly had to revamp everything and leave that day. In order to get to where I was going, and they had even considered canceling the event, the rodeo, but then I think cooler heads prevailed, and they used it as a real tribute to the backbone and the spine of America. And I was so proud to be a part of that event because of the way it was handled. And I just wish, and I think you'll feel the same way, I just wish that every day when we get out of bed, every single day our kids go to school, they could share in the same camaraderie and fellowship and attitude of being proud to be an American.
Amen.
I want to say how much I appreciate your call. I know it was hard on you, and I appreciate that. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. There were so many people that suffered because of 911. And, excuse me, I got a little choked up there for a moment. That the liberals, they came out and said, well, we can't show this again. Oh, our poor school children. Why, this is just way too devastating for them to hear about, talk about, or see. I totally disagree with that kind of a concept. Realism is something we all have to grow up and accept. And the Twin Towers going down, the Pentagon, and that airplane, Flight 93, and some of the human stories about brave Americans, policemen, firemen, emergency people, just ordinary common citizens on that plane with those terrorists. Let's roll. That should never be forgotten. I don't think it ever should be packed away in a closet and forgot about. Do you? Let's take a look at the weather, and then I'd like some more phone calls. Let's not forget that our weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call for your hearing health, 312-0957. They are dedicated to serving people with hearing loss of all ages and their families. Please get a hold of them today, 312-0957. Here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day here in the valley. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 80. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 49. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 74. By tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, clouds are going to be rolling into the valley. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies for Wednesday night with a low of 49. Those clouds are going to stick around for Thursday. Mostly cloudy skies with a high of 72, overnight low of 45. Hopefully by Friday we'll see a little bit more sunshine. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 74, warming up to 77 under sunny skies for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
She does a great job with the weather, as always. And I know some folks that do a great job on your hearing health, and that's Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call, please call for an appointment. They help me. They can help you. 312-0957. Calls are welcome, and I want to remind you again, Ramsey Heating and Electric, very proud to offer a service you can trust along with Lennox products that keep you comfortable, and they can help save you money. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on brand new Lennox systems, so call them today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Proudly offering Lennox products, just another way to make you feel better. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I guess what I would say is just remember. Pause for just a minute. And it amazes me the amount of people that live right here in this Magic Valley area that I've talked to that had friends, old classmates, relatives, etc., that there were connections to 911. It's amazing. And all I can say is just stop for a minute today and remember all the lives that were taken on our American soil by the evil. And then when you hear politicians or others get on the news and basically not belittle or denigrate, but just kind of pass over what took place on 9/11/2001, remember, and if you have an opportunity, set them straight. I hope we never forget. I hope we never forget the scene of those planes hitting those towers. I hope we never forget the scene of those people completely covered in dust and ash, coughing, begging for water. I hope we never forget about the first responders, the policemen, the emergency people, firemen. And at that juncture, I'll stop and I'll say, my son being a fireman, they ran into the problem, trying to help others. And I'm a very proud father of a fireman. Don't ever forget. Remember 911. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I told you a couple of weeks ago that my attitude on the spoiled prima donnas, these overpaid, underworked football players that have been given a gift by God of great physical talent to play a child's game and receive multi-million-dollar contracts. And I have no patience with these simpletons. That's what they are. that will not respect and honor our country by standing proudly for the playing of our national anthem or our Pledge of Allegiance. And I said a couple of weeks ago that any team or any player that represents a certain team that took a knee or sat during the national anthem would have my wrath and my ire. Excuse me. And I understand that last night, I did not see this, I heard about it this morning on the news, that a despicable football player by the name of Marshawn Lynch, now of the Oakland Raiders, formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, took a seat last night during our national anthem. And all I can do is hope and pray and wish that he would wise up and understand his actions as being despicable. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Real quick, in other news stories this morning, Bernie Sanders, the wild-haired socialist that was always preaching about free health care for all, along with Ocasio-Cortez and Cynthia Nixon and others of this ilk. Now he wants to have universal child care for all parents. Oh, yeah. Everybody else pays for everyone else. And I hope and pray that Bernie and the rest of these socialists will soon fade away with their absolutely anti-American thoughts. Socialism will not work. Socialism cannot work in this land, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I want to remind you about our dear friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And right now, they're having a great big, huge, and it is huge, fall tire sale for all your cars, for all the tires for your cars, your pickups, and your SUVs. Oh my, you can save money and drive safely. Please stop in and check out all the sizes, all the tread designs, etc. for you at any of the 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, there's so much more that they offer. The best in brake service and front-end alignments, shocks and struts and batteries, but above all, service. They really, really take care of you. So stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Let's see what else have we got in the news here this morning. Oh, my goodness. I couldn't believe this. And so far, she's got away with saying this, and I don't know why. There is a Broadway actress. Her name is Carol Cook. And she has appeared for years and years in many of the big notoriety Broadway plays. She's very well known as an actress on Broadway, and she came out and said one of the most vile statements yesterday that I have heard in a long time. Someone came up, a reporter came up, and asked her about Donald Trump, our president. And she said, "Where's John Wilkes Booth when you need him?" You know, these liberals that basically are condemning and damning and issuing remarks of health attacks to our president, absolutely ridiculous. If anyone would have come out and said anything comparable to that in regards to Barack Obama, the world would have come to a halt, the sky would have caved in, and the trees would have tipped over. But this is a common thing now with these liberals, whether it's Madonna going to blow up the White House, or whether it's sick and pathetic comedians doing things just for show that are absolutely heinous against the president. And now this comment, where's John Wilkes Booth when you need him? Absolutely pathetic. That's the nature of the liberal left and the Democrats today. Somebody said to me the other day, well, it's not all Democrats. And I said, okay, be the defining, educating rod for me. Point out who's good, bad, and ugly on the Democrats that doesn't go along with this. Yes, I know there are Democrats that cringe every time something like this is said and done. Well, then why aren't they coming out and condemning it? I'd have a lot more respect for their party, but they're not. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back with economist Dr. Michael Busler at 9:06. This man is really, really good, and he's going to be talking about the increase, the absolute increase in our economy underneath the President Trump administration. And then later on in the hour, Stoats Ag Minute, Dr. History's later today, and then also the Pacific Legal Foundation. Don't you go away. Right now, we'll send it over to Wheels. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. And a good morning to you and yours, Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, with a great big fall tire sale going on right now. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. I know some other folks that want to talk to you and help you, and that's Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
One of the things I feel like I need to talk to you about this morning are the dumpsters. And Western Way Services has dumpsters in various sizes for maybe cleaning out the basement or the attic or your garage or, in my case, my office. And you ask for one, they'll deliver it to you. You fill it up, they'll come and get it. Absolutely a great service to you. From Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Want to remind you, too, about Anthony at Save On Shells. I was over there yesterday and talked to him, and this man provides the best of service with a smile on his face, and Save On Shells located at 1827 Overland in Burley. And I'll tell you what, they've got the greatest selection of shells for your pickup. They can custom fit any truck on the road. I said, Anthony, how many doggone shells have you got here? And he says, well, I think between 88 and 100 or whatever. Holy moly, they can help you. They will help you. Anthony's a great guy with the ARE camper shells. Stop over and see them at 1827 Overland in Burley, or give him a call at 312-1525. And also want to mention to you about our dear friends, quickly before we go to Dr. Michael Busler, at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and his staff, serving you and your family. It's a really terrible, tragic time when there's a passing of a loved one. You don't know what to do. Stop right there. They can, and they will help you at Hanson Mortuary. Please write the number down and call 436-5636. 436-5636. Always treating you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Well, the next gentleman has been on my program quite a few times already, and I look forward to having him back on again. And he is a public policy analyst, economics expert, and a professor of finance. My goodness, good morning, Dr. Michael Busler. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Well, it's always a treat to have you on the air. And I'm going to just ask you this to start things off this morning. Are you at all concerned, as a man that knows economics far, far better than I, are you concerned that we're seeing a big bubble keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden, pop goes the weasel and we're in trouble? What do you think's going to happen with our economy?
No, I think exactly the opposite. Our economy has been stagnating really for almost 2 decades. It's been since the year 2005 that we had 3% annual growth. It's been since the year 2000 that we had 4% annual growth. Much of that is due to the policies of the prior administration. President Obama never set economic growth as a priority. His priorities were to cure perceived social injustices. For instance, it's an injustice everybody doesn't have health care. It's an injustice that wealthy people make so much more than the average American. It's an injustice that big business is taking advantage of consumers. So every time President Obama tried to solve some of those perceived social injustices, he slowed economic growth. For instance, the Affordable Care Act, which ended up helping about 6% of the population, about 20 million people. When he passed that, it had 23 either new or increased taxes in it that reduced income for the middle class, tended to slow economic growth. It also had a provision in there that employers had to buy health insurance for their employees or pay a $3,000 fine. That added to the cost of labor, slowed economic growth. President Bush passed tax cuts in 2001, which expired in 2011. President Obama made them permanent for everybody except the highest income earners. The highest income earners saw their taxes go up by 10%. That reduced the capital they had to invest. We have a capital-intensive economy. Less capital going in tended to slow economic growth. Because Obama felt that businesses were taking advantage of consumers, he passed thousands of regulations designed, he felt, to protect consumers. They, too, added to the cost of business, slowed economic growth. It's no wonder that President Obama was the only president in U.S. history to serve a term in office without having at least 1 year with at least 3% annual growth. So what happened? President Trump comes into office January of 2017. February and March, he reverses many of these counterproductive regulations, which he could do through executive order. Since April of last year, the economy has been growing at over a 3% rate. President Trump also convinced Congress to pass tax cuts for the middle class as well as the upper class and corporations. The tax cut went into effect in January. By April of this year, the economy is growing at a 4% annual rate. We're in the third quarter now. The first estimate of how GDP is doing comes out at the end of October, 10 days before the election. My numbers look like that the growth rate's going to be about 4.5%.
Wow.
It wouldn't surprise me to see a quarter or two next year where economic growth exceeded 5%. Recall that President Trump modeled the tax cut after what Reagan did in 81, went into effect in 82. In 1984, the economy grew at a 7.5% annual rate. So because we've been in such stagnation for the last really 2 decades, I think there's plenty of room for the economy to grow, and I'm extremely optimistic about growth in the both short term and the long term. I don't think we're going to see any kind of bubble at all. I think we're going to see solid growth, much higher than we had in the past, and that's likely to go on well into the future.
You know, Dr. Bussler, you've been on this program, as I stated earlier, many times, and I have the utmost respect for your opinions on the economy. And when you look at the situation today politically, I don't see how anybody, and I don't understand how anybody, could go to the polls in November for the midterms and have an animosity against this Trump administration for a much more prosperous economy when the Democrats have nothing. They have nothing on the platform for the betterment of this country and or the economy. They really don't have anything to run on. So how do they figure they're even going to attempt to get a blue wave? I said earlier, I don't even think it's going to be a bathtub trickle.
I'll tell you, Jeb, I would agree with you. The only thing the Democrats are running on is Trump is a bad person, and you have to get him out of office as quickly as possible. You have to do everything to stop him. The American people, the American public, the voters, they don't want to stop this. They want this to continue. Remember what James Carville said back in the early 90s, and I'm quoting, it's the economy, stupid. And when people go to vote, the first thing in their mind is, am I better off today than I was before Trump came into office? And virtually everybody has to say yes. The last thing I think voters want to do is to derail this. President Obama's out on the campaign trail saying, all this is bad, let's go back to the way it was under my administration. Americans don't want to do that. Under his administration, we had this stagnant economy, the result of the no growth. For the last 10 years, my students that graduate are lucky to find one job offer. Many of them have had to take jobs for which they don't need a college degree. As a result of them doing that, the people without college degrees, they didn't have any job opportunities at all. They dropped out of the workforce. There's probably 5 to 6 million discouraged workers. What's happening now is with the 4% growth in the economy, many of these underemployed college graduates are finding jobs more suited to their qualifications. That's opening up job opportunities for people with less than a college degree. In the month of June, 600,000 discouraged workers came back into the workforce because they now see that there's opportunity. I don't think anybody, if they're thinking properly and they're just not influenced by all this negative press, I don't see how anybody could vote against what Trump is doing and against what the Republicans say they'll continue to do as long as they maintain control of the House and the Senate.
Is it true that you purchased a little container of Blue Emu to send to Obama because his elbow's sore from patting himself on the back?
I didn't do that, but I should have thought of that. It would have been a good idea. And you're right. He's taking credit, and he did exactly the opposite. In fact, and I've said this before, had President Obama done absolutely nothing when he got into office, had he done absolutely nothing, the economy would have been in much better shape than it was during his term. Everything he did was geared to solve these social injustices, ended up hurting the economy. His policies focused on the bottom 15% of income earners, and the other 85% of us had to suffer as a result of that.
You know, I want to ask you about this. In the latest Newsmax magazine, there was an article written by Ben Stein, and you know Ben, I'm sure. And he brought up a good point in this article that you and I had talked about the last time you were on the program, that there is another problem with jobs in America, and that problem is we don't have enough employees. And that is something that I think in the long run is going to really stunt the growth of businesses because they can't find quality employees. Am I right, or is it something we can overcome?
You're both. You are right, but it is something we can overcome. Finally, after all these years, there are more job openings than there are unemployed people. So now people can workers can be a little more selective in what they're trying to do. Now, you mentioned, well, if there's a shortage of workers, how are we going to grow? And the answer to that is that in the manufacturing sector, instead of being labor-intensive, hiring a lot of people, we're now capital-intensive, which means we have robots on the production line, and instead of 50 people, you now only need 3 people managing 50 robots. So increases in technology, innovation, I think will all make up for any labor shortages that we may find. I don't see labor as a shortage of labor as slowing down the economy. Remember, too, the labor force participation rate, that's the percentage of adults that are in the workforce, either working or looking for a job, is still at historic lows. So we need to attract some of those people back into the workforce, and they'll be attracted back in by the growth in the economy, which will lead to opportunity. I don't think the labor shortage is going to hurt economic growth, at least into the near future.
Dr. Bussler, there's a lot of people that are retirees, people of my age, that are extremely conservative with their money and the saving of their money, but yet they need to invest because, as you know, I don't have to tell you, Social Security is not going to be the be-all and catch-all for people that need to retire with some kind of income. But what is, in your opinion, a safe investment with conservative thinking, but yet yield for the people that they can get a net return on their money? Is it the stock market? Is it buying land? I mean, what really, with this kind of an economy, is safe right now?
I would recommend dividend-paying stocks. The economy is going to continue to grow. As the economy grows, corporations will be more profitable. As they're more profitable, earnings per share go up, and that should drive stock prices up. I wouldn't look necessarily for big capital gains, but if you get stocks that are good, high-quality, dividend-paying stocks, almost no matter what happens in the economy, they should provide good income for you. The other thing is, and this is probably the only thing I disagree with President Trump about, the Federal Reserve is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Interest rates are at historic lows. If the economy starts growing with the low interest rates, there is an inflationary fear. So the Federal Reserve is gradually bringing interest rates up, so they'll be at least at or above historical standards. That won't be enough to hurt economic growth, but it will be enough to keep any inflationary problems down. So as those interest rates start to go up, now you can look at some very safe, much more safe investments. Even government bonds are going to start to pay a little bit better, and AAA or AA plus rated corporate bonds are also very good investments once the interest rates inch up a little bit.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just trying to be a realist and look at all the various problems that may come up. What are your thoughts if, and underline the word if, the Democrats retake the House in the midterm elections? Are all bets off as to what they can do or might do to stymie our economy?
Well, they're talking about impeaching President Trump. If they get a majority in the House, they could pass impeachment. Now, for him to be voted out of office, you have to get 2/3 of the Senate to vote for it, which will never happen. But all the negative publicity going around with impeachment is certainly not going to help. In addition, Trump may not be able to get through some additional things he'd like to do to get the economy growing. So if the Democrats come in, I still think the tax cuts will lead to growth, but they'll start passing some things again, to try to cure perceived social injustices. They'll try to pass some things which will tend to hinder economic growth and maybe a drag somewhat in the future. I'll tell you, as we just mentioned, Zeb, I still believe that the Republicans will retain the House, and I think they're going to add to their majority in the Senate, perhaps getting as many as 57 or 58 senators. That will make, if that happens, and I certainly hope it does, if it does happen, that will make it much easier for Trump to continue his agenda and even get some new things passed that may add to economic growth further.
What are the potentialities of a bad trade deal, be it resurgence of NAFTA or whatever? What are the trade deals, going to have as far as effect on our nation's economy and the attitude of businesses as we go into the next 2 years with Donald Trump?
Yeah, so in the short term, there will be a little bit of pain with some of these negotiations. In the long term, it's going to add to economic growth. Now, why do I say that? President Trump took a look at every one of the trade deals we have, NAFTA with the European Union, China, Japan, South Korea. Every one of the trade deals, every one is lopsided in favor of our trading partners and to the detriment of the U.S. Now, Trump's not a politician. He's a business person. A politician would take a look at this, convene a summit sometime in the fall, come back and talk to the government leaders next year, convene another summit sometime next year, and eventually kick the can down the road because it's too tough of a problem to solve. President Trump is not a politician. He's a business person. A business person sees a problem, especially if it's affecting your bottom line, sees a problem and solves it immediately. So Trump said, look at all these trade agreements. The European Union, they make a car and sell it here. We charge a 2.5% tariff. We make a car and sell it there. They charge a 10% tariff. The result is we're buying a lot of their cars with money flowing out of the country. They're buying fewer of our cars with less of their money flowing into our country. We end up with this huge negative balance of trade. So President Trump said we need to fix this quickly. Now, the trading partners, they're not in any hurry to come to the negotiating table because, they're in good position and they know anything that happens, they're going to end up coming up short. So what does a business person do in that situation? You create a sense of urgency. He puts these tariffs on, and because they need us more than we need them, the tariffs are going to hurt them more than they're hurting us. It'll force them to come to the table quickly. Already, Mexico has come to the table, and we're real close to finalizing an agreement with them. The European Union came over and said, they left and said, look, we're going to work toward what Trump really wants, and that's no tariffs on anything. So you end up with free trade that is truly fair. Put big tariffs on Chinese goods. Again, that's going to hurt a little bit in the short run. By the end of the year, China, who desperately needs the U.S. to buy their products to keep their high-growth economy going, by the end of the year, China will come to the table and negotiate something with us, too, that is free trade, that is truly fair. So there's a little bit of pain we're likely to see between now and the end of the year, but probably starting next year or shortly thereafter, you'll see markets opened up to U.S. manufacturers that haven't been opened up before. China closes their markets. They put a 25% tariff on cars. Some cars they put a 50% tariff on. Well, Trump's going to end up in this new negotiation doing away with as much of that as he possibly can, and you're going to see China, which has over 1 billion people, open up their markets to U.S. products. In the long run, it's going to add to economic growth.
Dr. Bustler, final thought, but you're a professor at Stockton University in New Jersey, and I said something like this one of the times previous on my program, but do you have basically students that come into your class with a liberal viewpoint or a conservative viewpoint? And if they do have a liberal viewpoint, how do you get them to sway over to your side? You have a great optimistic attitude. I would love to be a mouse in the corner of the room and hear some of your speeches.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The university where I teach was founded as a liberal arts college and has a very strong liberal arts bend to it. I would say 95% of the professors are very liberal, and it's unfortunate in my view, they don't give the students both sides of the argument. What I do in my classes, I try to keep my views, personal views, out of the discussion. It gets a little hard sometimes because I'm very passionate about this. But I try to keep my views out, and I say, look, here's what your other professors have been telling you. Now, here's the other side. We're supposed to be teaching you critical thinking skills. That's why you go to college. So take a look at both sides and decide which one makes the most sense to you. And by the end of the class, I see them scratching their heads saying, maybe we didn't have it right before. Maybe some of these conservative views do make some sense. So I think if you present both sides of an argument objectively to the students, you'll get many more of them following the conservative view.
You are a breath of fresh air, believe me, and I really appreciate you being on the program. Public policy analyst, economics expert, and professor of finance. I'm going to call you a dear friend because you've been here before, and I hope you'll come back. Dr. Michael Busler, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. It's my pleasure. I look forward to coming back.
All right, sir. Have a great day. Thank you very, very much. Listening to him for 30 minutes just makes me feel good. I mean, it makes me feel good about our economy and what's going on and the future and the stock market and growth. I mean, how about you folks? People like that, Dr. Michael Busler, just make me feel good. Amen. All right, let's see what else. Oh, my goodness, I got a whole bunch of ads to take care of here. I have got to tell you right now about our dear friends at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Now, I said our dear friends. Well, they're your dear friends, too, and great friends to your pets and your livestock because they really care about the health of your pets and livestock. And I urge you to remember that Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, and the whole crew serving a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they can help them all. And whether you got a sick kitty cat or whether you got a herd of dairy cattle that need tending, they can and they will help you. So please remember the name Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And the number to call, 678-1177. 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Oh, there's a big event coming up this coming Saturday, and I want to tell you all about it as soon as I can find the paper, and I had it right here in my hand a minute ago. There it is. I covered it up. The Purple Shovel Market, an outdoor market that is really going to have a neat deal over this Saturday from 10 to 4. And the host, of course, Nature Nursery at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley, right across from the Burley Golf Course. You can't possibly miss it. And they're going to have antiques and crafts, and they're going to have food vendors. And this is the one I mentioned yesterday that I really like, unique finds. In other words, if you're looking for something really out of the ordinary, it's going to be there. Unique finds at the Purple Shovel Market, and that's this coming Saturday, September 15th from 10 to 4 at the Nature Nursery. Absolutely a great place and easy to find at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley. Purple Shovel Market. Be there. Going to be great. Going to be great. Okay, let me see what else have I got going here. Oh, yes, our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More with my old buddy Jeff. And I tell you what, they've got so many good things going on. Now, you notice the forecast here that we had on the weather forecast today. It said, well, it's going to be nice with sunny skies, highs in the 70s, but you notice a decrease. We're not talking 95, 98, 100. We're talking maybe in the 70s. You know that it's not going to be much longer. You're going to be spending a lot more time in the house. Well, be comfortable and enjoy the beauty of your interior of your home, and make sure that you've got that new carpet installed. Make sure that you've got that new furniture in your living room. Make sure that you enjoy a better night's sleep with a better and nicer mattress from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They've got it all. They've got it all, and a staff that can help and serve you. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those really good folks today. And one more ad, and then we'll take some more of your phone calls. I want to tell everybody about Let's Ride. Get your motor running. Oh, boy. They're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And I know a lot of folks. And I know Goober and I, we're going to be getting on our four-wheelers and heading out, enjoying a little bit of the great Southern Idaho outdoors this weekend. Don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And they've got all the ATVs. They've got all the accessories. And to keep you running, they got one of the best doggone service departments anywhere around. Super nice people keeping you going. Let's ride where the fun is sold. You stop over and see those good folks today. Oh, my goodness. You know, there was a gentleman on television last night, and I just caught a little bit of it as I ran in the house, and we were, like I said, last night was in turmoil trying to get everything done. But he was very interesting and very articulate. He was a black man on television last night talking about no hyphenated Americanism. None. Not going to honor it, will not say it. He's not going to say Afro-Americans. He's not going to say Hispanic Americans. He's not going to acknowledge that. And I really respect that because of his attitude saying that all that does is segregate and divide us as a nation and as a people. We've talked about this on the program before. And I have said a long time ago, I'm not going to call someone African American. I'm not going to talk to somebody and say they're Spanish American or they're Hispanic American. I'm not going to do that. Now, a lot of people say, well, gee, if they like that, you should. No, I don't believe in it. I go by my beliefs. And I think that the man was right on television last night, that it's actually a divisive way of putting people in little segregated compounds, if you will, and I will not do that. We are all, if here legally, citizens of America. We are Americans. Bang, shut the door. That's it. I am not going to segregate any group of people and highlight their ethnicity or race and still call them Americans. It's just going to be America and American citizens. What are your thoughts on this? I'm not going to change my attitude. I agree with this gentleman that was very articulate about this last night, and I'd like to hear your comments. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I think you'd have respect for the guy I worked with a few years ago. He was of Mexican descent, but he said, when I was talking about that stuff, he said, look, I am not Mexican American, I am not American Mexican. I am American American. That's it. American.
I love it. And that's the attitude that should be by everyone here in this country, and proud of that red, white, and blue. Thank you, caller. You made my day for that call. Thank you so much.
You did that made me respect him more.
All right, sir. God bless you.
I was speaking Spanish, and he said to the guy, listen, you are in America. You will speak English, or you will get out of here.
Okay. I love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
All right, take care. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you don't hear German American or Irish American or English American or France American.
Yeah.
Or Italian American, do you?
I refuse to do it, and there have been instances behind the scenes, and I got to share this with you, where I've had emails and I've had some nasty phone calls because I would not refer to the African-American attitude or whatever. I will not do that, and I don't like it, and it's my own personal preference because I think if we're all here, like I said a moment ago, legally as citizens of this country, I don't give a rat's toenail about what shade of skin or race we're Americans.
Exactly. And years ago when I had my trucking business and I was trucking all over, I got the XM radio, and there was a gentleman on there, his radio name was the Truckin' Bozo. And he'd done an overnight deal for years out of this, in Ohio, I think, at Cincinnati or somewhere, where his base was, and he transmitted all over the U.S. before XM, and then he got on XM. And he made comments that I'd never heard it before, but it really stuck with me. He says, the hyphen is going to be the downfall of America.
I think it is. I think it is.
And that was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah. Why should you or I, okay, why should we automatically, because of our verbiage, segregate a group of people either in a more respective nature or negative nature. I'm not going to do that. If somebody, I'll give you an example. When I had Miss King on the program a couple of weeks ago, Martin Luther King's niece, I would not refer to her as African American. I found that to be disrespectful. She is an American that speaks out, and I respect her.
Exactly. Well, look at that gal you had on yesterday, that Gabrielle. What's
Brigitte Gabriel.
Yes. Yeah, she's an American.
Yep.
And she's proud of it.
Absolutely.
You know, and you don't see, or didn't see, any of the people that come through Ellis Island demanding that they be called Irish American or anything such as that. They wanted to be Americans.
I'll even go a step further on this, and this probably will upset some, especially in the western part of the United States, but that's the way it is. I will not refer to the Indian tribes as Native Americans. Number one, I'll tell you why. I've got mixed feelings about this. I was born in this country, and I'm as Native and American as anybody, just the same as you. But to draw a distinction and say, well, that person over there is a Native American as opposed to somebody else where their family came over on the Mayflower or whatever, why are they any less Native American? We are Americans. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, and they're finding artifacts and stuff that the Vikings were over here years and years before the settlers came
Absolutely.
in. So, yeah.
Now, I will take the criticism, I will take the heat, but I am not going to... I'll tell you what started all this for me to really kind of bare my chest on this was Barack Obama. I would not refer to him as the first African-American to run for president, namely because he wasn't a true Negro. He had mixed blood in his heritage, and I'm not going to sit there and condemn anyone. I'm just not going to refer to it. He's an American that was a senator from Illinois. Let's let it go at that.
Exactly. Exactly. And those that want to use the hyphen, they're using it to put their status above anybody else's, and that is baloney.
I agree.
If you don't want to be called an American, then find another country that you like the name they call them and go there.
Well, I'm just not going to fall into, Doug, and I thank you for your call on this, but I'm not going to fall into a lockstep of using the terminology that everybody demands I use, because I'm not going to do it.
Exactly, just like the PC culture. The PC political correct movement is to eliminate your First Amendment.
That's right. Not going to do it. Doug, appreciate your thoughts as always. Thank you so much. Your thoughts. Give me a call. I still got some time. I just won't do that. And for those of you out in the audience that go, oh, that's terrible. He won't refer to them by the way they want. No, I won't. You're an American if you're here legally. So am I. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're very proud to offer a service you can trust, along with Lennox products that can help keep you comfortable and save you money. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a brand new Lennox system. So call them today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com, and they proudly offer Lennox products. Just another way they make you feel better. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's see what else have we got here. For those of you that have friends, relatives, etc. along the East Coast, it looks like Thursday is the day that they have estimated that this latest big hurricane is going to hit the East Coast. And they're calling for, some of the reports I've heard have said over 2 feet of rain and winds of over 150 miles per hour. So literally keep those folks on the East Coast in the Carolinas and Virginia in your prayers and your thoughts. And we certainly hope that it doesn't come to the dangerous point that some of the weather meteorologists have predicted. And some said it's probably going to be turning into a Category 5 storm hurricane. So look out on the East Coast. Let me see what else have I got here. We talked about that earlier. I think we're right up to speed here this morning to the point where we're going to have a weather forecast unless we get another call. And our weather is being brought to you this hour by our dear friends at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You know, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years and helping you, your family, your business, and they help people starting a business or creating a partnership, whatever. They can and they will help you. All you need to do is get a hold of them. They've got offices in Burley and Rupert with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, retirement planning, financial statement preparation, all of this at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day here in the valley. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 80. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 49. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 74. By tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, clouds are going to be rolling into the valley. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies for Wednesday night with a low of 49. Those clouds are going to stick around for Thursday. Mostly cloudy skies with a high of 72, overnight low of 45. Hopefully by Friday we'll see a little bit more sunshine. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 74, warming up to 77 under sunny skies for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, she does a great job. Gina, thank you. And the weather brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And as I said, Leiden called me here about a month ago and said, Zeb, tell everybody to get a hold of us because there's big changes in the tax rates and new deductions and some changes to the old ones. So for you, your family, and your business, you should know about these. Get a hold of them. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company in Burley and Rupert. You know what? I look forward to some folks that I am really, really high on because of their service and their community atmosphere and attitude. And that's our friends over at Stoats Equipment Company in Burley, your John Deere dealer. Wow. Vic and the rest of the crew, they are great, great people serving you at 119 Overland in Burley. And right now, with my help from Wheels over at the main studios, it's time for the Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes. Wheels, if you would, please.
Welcome to Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes, featuring innovative ideas and people that are dedicated to serving agriculture and you. Stoats Equipment, your John Deere authorized dealer, 119 Overland Avenue in Burley. They make your life easier. 5 words sum up Stoats Equipment's dedication to serving you. Quality, integrity, loyalty, caring, and community. Stoats Equipment is your John Deere equipment dealer, providing everything from tractors to combines, swathers to lawnmowers. At Stoats Equipment, they care about their customers. And like their slogan says, we make your life easier. From large ag farm equipment to small compact utility tractors, Stoats Equipment works diligently for local customers to get the best deals. Stoats Equipment, 119 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. Once again, I get a chance to visit with a good friend, Vic Carataccia, over at Stoats Equipment, the store manager. Good morning, Vic. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb.
You know, we have got in this area, I think, some of the most hard-working farmers and leaders in agriculture with so many diversified crops. What are your thoughts about the way agriculture is conducted here in the state of Idaho?
It is a huge difference between southern United States compared to northern. There's smaller windows up here. There's a greater impact on weather or any delays. So that's why I guess you'd have to say that everything here is based on it's urgent because the windows are so much smaller for harvest and weather impacts that they really can't afford to have any other things they can't plan on, like downtime for equipment.
That's why we have to be available, parts and service and equipment-wise, 24 hours a day, because these guys really work hard every day, and they don't have a day off. They don't work 7 days a week. They work 8 days. They don't work 365 days a year. They work 366 or more. So in 24-hour days are unheard of. So they work very hard. So we have to be here when they need us.
Pardon my interruption, but when you say you're there when they need you, I mean, how do they get a hold of you? Maybe if it's an after-hours situation and they break down, they can't afford to wait and wait till store hours.
Two things we've done. We've implemented, we have 24-hour service when it comes to parts and service, so they can call our main line to our store. They can call all of our employees' cell phones are posted on our website at www.stotesequipment.com. My phone's on there. I'm available. I'm 5 minutes away from the store. Our parts manager is right downtown. Our service manager could be here, lickety-split. So we're here when you need us, and like I said, we're down. When you guys are down, we're down. We're here to help.
I want to ask you about safety issues in equipment. Over the years in agriculture, from way back when in the early 1900s up till now, safety in equipment has really been a key in changing for the industry, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, there's a huge impact on liability-wise, and just the problem becomes is, you can't afford to lose good quality people, and simply because a piece of protection was not in place. So we go through great extents to make sure that everybody is knowledgeable, that they've been trained. Actually, we offer a free safety program when we sign people up on our maintenance contracts. So we do what we call on-site preventive maintenance. We come to your dairy farm. We don't care if we have to milk the cow. We will come out there and do it. But we're there, and then we'll teach you all the safety of your employees, because it is crucial. We don't want anybody getting hurt, and it only takes a second for your life to be taken away or lose a finger or an arm, and we just can't afford that, because we have so many people here with so much knowledge that it really hurts when we lose somebody like that over something so simple.
Vic, with the changes in equipment, and I've asked you this on previous programs, but I mean, it seems like every month, every year, there's always innovative changes. I mean, these people sit behind closed walls and just dream and dream about how to better the equipment?
Well, that's one of the things I think John Deere has the edge on all of our competition. They really strive to make sure that they're leaders in innovation, so they're constantly trying to improve. One is efficiencies, the other is safety, and the other thing is ease of operation to our customers, because it doesn't do you any good if you have the smartest tractor out there in the world but you can't operate it. So we have to make it simple, we have to make it easy, but a lot of that goes on the shoulders of our dealerships. So and I was told all the equipment out there, new or used, is basically crap. Excuse my language, but I've been told that. But what makes a difference is a dealer, and I definitely believe that. Ford, Chevy, Dodge, all the same thing. They're pretty darn close, but what makes a difference is the dealer.
I absolutely agree. Now, talking about dealers, you have got a great big September special going on right now. Tell us about it.
Yes, sir. So we have taken on the attitude that, hey, if we're going to discount our equipment, because we do a lot of new equipment, so we have to do what John Deere is, their focus is market share. So we have to purchase new and sell new equipment, and when we sell new equipment, we have to usually take in trades. So sometimes we get overloaded, and we are overloaded right now, but that's part of it. It's a double-edged sword. So if you have market share, then you're going to have use. But our goal is to not get rid of it or sell it somewhere else. We want to sell it here. So if we're going to discount it, I want our customers to take advantage of it. Maybe we're being a little bit greedy here, or maybe a little bit selfish, but I do think that it's going to benefit the customer, because they're going to get a lower deal. Plus, I do think we're the best dealer, so we're going to provide great parts and service for them for years, and when they're ready to trade it back in, we get another shot at them, and hopefully we can keep them going, because like I tell everybody, once you join the family, we want to keep in there, and we'll do everything we can to keep you happy.
So great financing and also some incentive for some other absolutely great products with Yeti. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So right now we're offering a special September. You buy a new or used ag tractor, you get a Traeger smoker. So it's a great time. Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas, everything else. If you've never had a turkey or a ham smoked on a Traeger smoker, you're missing out. Salmon, oh my God, it just will. Yeah, like I said, it'll change your world. And then we have the Yeti coolers, which are everybody needs a Yeti cooler in the back of your truck to keep your ice cold water and Gatorade and whatever else you want in the back of there. And so we're offering some specials, and we were offering 0% interest for 60 months. months on the compacts. If you buy a new lawnmower, there's 0% for 12 months. There's so many different things. John Deere's really working hard. We're really working hard to save you money, and I wouldn't be telling you guys this if I didn't think it was a great deal, because I'm not here to sell. I'm here to help.
Absolutely. We're talking to the store manager of Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer, Vic, at 119 Overland and Burley, and this, of course, Stoats Ag Minute. Thank you, Vic.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Stoats Equipment's Ag Minutes, your John Deere equipment dealer at 119 Overland and Burley. At Stoats, they want to make your life easier.
I got to tell you, folks, and a personal note right here, I bought a new tractor from Stoats, and the service has been outstanding. But there were 3 individuals besides Vic involved. I needed a special kind of a step on one side of the tractor and everything, and they went overboard to help me get that on there. And I want to thank Curtis and Jake, and I want to thank Ian. Those folks absolutely are service-oriented. This is a personal note from me. Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley. Really nice people. Oh, and when you say nice people, there's another group I want to talk about real quick, and that's, of course, our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. And all you need to do to get the ball rolling to help you is give them a call for an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. They're dedicated and accessible to serving you and your family and your business. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Well, maybe you can hear the voices in the background out in the other room. Dr. History just got here, and he's going to be up in the next half hour right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And had a little public service announcement I wanted to get on real fast. The annual Bounty of the Harvest Dinner and Bazaar, sponsored by the Rupert United Methodist Women, will be held on Friday, September 28th. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the church at 605 H Street over in Rupert. And they're going to have a super dinner menu of pulled pork and oven-roasted new red potatoes, Methodist squash, I don't know what that is, Carolina-style coleslaw, all kinds of goodies, and lots of pies. And there's also going to be a baked food sale and craft bazaar. If you'd like to have a dinner to take home, all you have to do is call 436-3354. That's coming up on Friday, September the 28th. Got to run and go to the news and Dr. History coming up in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and listen to that piano. Woo! I love the way they tickle those ivories on that set coming back into our program. Morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, they've got a huge, really big fall tire sale going on right now. And along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. I want to remind you, I tell you what, every time I do this commercial, I break out in a smile because people go, who's he talking about? Well, I'm talking about, first off, Dino's Septic Service. And they do the jobs that me and Dr. History, everybody doesn't want to do. They go out there with a smile on their face and they pump out the septic tanks. They go out there with a smile on their face and they take care of the sewer and sink drain lines being cleaned and the liquid waste removal. Ooh, they do it because they're the best at what they do. And they've recently expanded their business to better serve you. You give them a call today for fast, fair, friendly service. The number 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638. Dino's Septic Service with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. You get a hold of them today. Dino's Septic Service. And I also want to take this time to say about a great senior community in Burley. It's called Syringa Plaza. I'm telling you, folks, I've heard so many good things about these folks. They serve low-income seniors who maintain an independent living status with or without assistance, and they've got so many special features like one-bedroom apartments with carpeting and safety features and kitchens with electric ranges and refrigerators and an emergency call system. Rather than listen to me, you call them and let them help you at Syringa Plaza at 626 Elba Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 677-4204. That number again, 677-4204. Syringa Plaza, serving you. And right now, without further ado, we're going to get on the microphone and talk to a man that has turned the pages of history literally. And here he is, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. What a great day, right?
Oh, it's always a great day when you're vertical and breathing.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about Butch Cassidy, and I have kind of left it up to the listeners to decide did he or did he not die in South America. Now today we're going to hit the Sundance Kid. Last week, I was getting gas at the local gas station. A neighbor of mine came up and I said something about Butch Cassidy, and he said, well, you know, we actually have a story in the family about the Sundance Kid, in their family.
Really?
I said, I got to see this. So that's what we're going to go through today, and there may be some question if this is actually true, but I'm pretty sure it is because of the research that's gone on in this story.
Just so we can clarify what you were doing, you were getting gassed or you were getting gas?
I was filling up my pickup.
There you go. That sounds better.
All right. April 6th, 1949. 1949, folks.
That's 2 years after I was born.
Yeah. Okay, picture this. An old man who's going to be 79 years old in a little less than 2 weeks. He looked harmless enough, weighing barely more than 120 pounds.
Wow.
The one outstanding characteristic of this old man was his long flowing hair and beard, white with age. He was very proud of this long beard and hair. Okay? And then he said this, "Gosh darn you, Warden. If you cut my hair, I'll come back from the grave and haunt you, I swear it." Two big guards grabbed him by either arm, lifted his feet completely off the floor, set him into the barber chair in the upper floor room of the Utah State Prison. They didn't keep him there for long because, surprisingly strong for his age, he overcame the guards, wrestled them to the floor. Eventually, though, they secured him to a chair, and the long white locks started falling to the floor.
Wait a minute. You said that this guy was 79 years old.
Yes.
And he had a long white beard and white hair. And he overturned a couple of security guards?
Yeah. So, here he is, bald and clean-shaven. He was robbed of his pride, his dignity, and the guy's name was Hiram Beebe. All right, now hang on to that name.
Hiram Beebe.
Hiram Beebe. He was led back to his cell, and that's it. So,
why did they shave his hair and his beard?
I don't know. I think the warden just wanted to calm this guy down, and it did. It kind of took away his pride. Okay?
Huh.
Now, little is really ever known about the Sundance Kid. All right? Outside of speculation and legend. And so Harry Alonzo Longabaugh was born in 1868. He was one of 5 children. In 1882, he left home at the age of 14. He joined his older brother, Elwood, in San Francisco. And 1889, he served a term in the Crook County Jail in Wyoming at the place called Sundance for the theft of a horse and a saddle.
Uh-oh.
That's where he got the name. Because later at Browns Park, Longabaugh was given the nickname the Sundance Kid. So that's where that came from, where he had been in jail. Now, 1901, Longabaugh, Butch Cassidy, and Etta Place were in New York City. Cassidy wanted to head west to rob the Great Northern Train near Wagner, Montana. Sundance and Etta sailed for Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Cassidy joined them shortly thereafter. Now, they were called the Bandidos Yankee by the South Americans.
You got a pesky fly, too.
I know I do.
I do too.
But when they were there, they established a ranch near the village of Cholila, Argentina. It was a beautiful area. Mountains, lakes. A neighbor of theirs reported that the trio actually left Cholula in 1907. Now, in the spring of 1907, he wrote to a friend, Sundance did, and he said, quote, "Today we leave Cholula and I don't care to see Chubut ever again." In other words, Sundance saying, okay, I'm out of here. I don't want to ever come back. Okay?
Okay.
Now, in the spring of 1910, Sundance was using the name of Bob Evans. And he was with a young guy by the name of Lou McCarty, who was an outlaw. They were actually surrounded by a posse being chased. McCarty was killed, and Sundance was shot through the lungs. He was able to ride to a nearby home of a German immigrant family named Hahn, where he was nursed back to health.
Really?
Now, in later years, Mrs. Hahn recalled when the posse rode up to her doorstep, they displayed the severed head of the young McCarty. Okay, they cut his head off and asked her to pickle it in a jar so they could preserve it to get the reward.
They were gruesome buggers, weren't they?
Now, at that moment, Sundance was recuperating from his wound in the back room of the house.
How would you like to hear somebody say pickle his head and think it might be yours?
Yeah, what did he look like?
Aye.
Well, anyway, so the Sundance Kid next appeared in Nicaragua as a gun runner during the Revolution of 1911, and as early as 1906, he'd been involved in gun smuggling in Chile, and actually, Etta had paid $1,500 to one of her influential relatives in the British Embassy at Santiago to save him from going to prison. So he led a heck of a life. So now here we are in 1912. Okay, Sundance appeared in Chihuahua, Mexico under the alias of Tex McGrath. Okay, remember that name. Because so we got the Sundance Kid.
Too doggone many names for me to remember.
Kid, we got Hiram Beebe, and now we got Tex McGrath.
And Bob.
Yeah, Bob, what's his name?
Yeah.
And he worked for a time on a huge ranch called the Lord Beresford Ranch. Have you ever heard of that?
Where is it?
It's in Chihuahua, Mexico.
I got to kill that fly.
I know it. He's bugging the heck out of me. Anyway, he also worked as a gunfighter for William Randolph Hearst on this big, huge ranch in Chihuahua. Okay, Randolph Hearst. So in 1911, the ranch was overrun by Pancho Villa, who stole more than 60,000 head of cattle from Hearst. Well, Hearst...
Is this the same Hearst that was the father to...
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So Hearst formed what he called a 100-man army of his vaqueros under the leadership of Tex McGrath, alias, or whatever, Sundance.
And Bob and whoever.
Yeah. So one of McGrath's associates was an Oklahoma deputy sheriff he had first met in St. Louis in 1904, a man who would soon become renowned as a silent film Western movie star, Tom Mix. Okay?
Wow.
Together
you're losing me here. I'm trying to keep up.
All right. Together, they killed more than 100 of these bandits in battle, okay?
So Tom Mix, well, stop. This is too interesting to pass up. Tom Mix worked for the Hearst.
Right.
Okay.
And with Sundance.
And Tom Mix actually, what was his real name?
I don't know.
But Tom Mix actually was kind of a good guy with a gun.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So during this period, Sundance, or McGrath, if you want to call him that, lived in a town with a family by the name of Nephi Thane. Thane was his brother-in-law. Okay, I'm trying to keep this all straight, all right? In 1901, shortly before leaving for South America, Sundance had married a pretty little gal by the name of Annie Thane. Now, the staunchly religious father disowned his daughter for her choice of husbands, but she was compelled to leave home because she was with child and abandoned by Sundance. Now, this is something to remember, though. Annie gave birth to a son whose name was Harold Thane Longbow. Okay? Sundance's son. All right? Her son was raised by a foster family, and many years later, he met his father, Sundance, in a hotel in Washington.
The state of Washington.
And even at that time, Sundance was using the name Hiram Beebe. I hope this isn't too confusing.
You know, for those of you in the audience that are trying to write some of this down, give it up.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Okay.
Well, now, wait a minute. And I know you probably don't care about this point, but what happened to Etta Place?
Don't know. So anyway, let's forget her for now. Okay. Now Sundance was with Pancho Villa. Okay, and he took part in the 1912-1916 revolution, and his primary function was to demonstrate to Pancho and his men how to stop and hold up trains, because obviously this was his expertise. He was good at it. Now, after this, he had a little tour of England.
He was an old man.
He was getting there, yeah. After a tour of England, Ireland, France, Austria, and in Vienna, Sundance actually had a bullet removed from the small of his back near the spine. He enlisted in the Army during World War I. Sundance still was using the name of Tex McGrath. And during this time, he picked up a religious philosophy. He was a devoter of a person by the name of Omar Khayyam. Okay, now he was...
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, this guy was a mathematician, philosopher, whatever. Sundance started practicing yoga. Anyway.
He didn't wear those tight pants,
I
did
don't
he?
know.
Okay.
I don't know. But following the war, Tex McGrath, Sundance, returned to the United States and lived for a time in Burns, Oregon.
Burns?
Burns, Oregon. He was often drunk, boasted about his escapades in the war with Pancho Villa. He made a lot of enemies in and around Burns. One night, McGrath, or Sundance, became so drunk, he shot up the local hotel, and they kindly invited him to leave Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, during the early 1920s, Sundance joined a gang called the Weaver Gang in the Midwest.
This guy's got to be 70 years old.
He's getting that way. And at various times, this gang that he was with consisted of John Dillinger, George Machine Gun Kelly,
holy moly,
Pretty Boy Floyd,
oh,
and some of the members of the old Wild Bunch.
The Chicago people.
Yeah, yeah. But at various times, this gang consisted of all these guys. And
out in Burns?
No. Now he's back in Chicago area.
Oh, you're losing me, man.
Pay attention, Zeb. I'm going to have to start drawing pictures,
I
right?
hope.
Okay. So, anyway, he actually joined a gang with another guy by the name of Frank O'Banion. Anyway, Sundance eventually migrated to Utah and began using the name Hiram Beebe. Okay, this is where we start with Hiram Beebe. Okay. Now, Hiram Beebe...
Are you tired? I am.
I'm trying to hang on to this, Zeb. Anyway, Hiram Beebe and his friend were drunk. They were belligerent and was often prone to do in a bar in this little town of Mount Pleasant, Utah.
Yeah.
The bar owner asked them to leave, and they refused, so he called the town marshal, a guy by the name of Lon Larson. Okay, Lon Larson.
I know what you're going to tell me to remember that name.
Remember that name because he arrived at the bar. He approached Beebe's table and asked him his name. Beebe replied, "That is none of your darn business."
Uh-huh.
The marshal opened his vest and showed Beebe his bags, and he said, "This makes it my business." Larson said to the old man. Beebe replied, "That bags don't make you a man." So there's a little confrontation going on here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Sheriff Larson then asked Beebe to leave the premises, and Beebe stared at him and defied the marshal. Well, Larson grabbed Beebe by the shirt collar, pulled him from out of the table, threw him out the door, and threw him across the sidewalk, and shoved him into the cab of a pickup, and pushed him in, shut the door.
What year was this now?
I can't remember.
You're telling me to remember all these names.
Well, so Larson shoved him into this pickup, all right? He turned around to walk back to the bar, and he stopped for a minute to talk to Mrs. Beebe, Hiram's wife, who had just come out of a store, and she was kind of distracted, the marshal, and she says, "What are you doing to my husband?" And he said, "Well, I'm taking care of him." Just then, a bullet hit the marshal in the arm, and another one hit him in the stomach, and he went down. And so here's the marshal, down and dead, okay? So by this time, Beebe's wife and his friend, they took off and they wanted to leave. They headed out of town, and Beebe pulled out his pistol and he says, "You guys better leave me alone. I'm leaving." They took off. They headed to a place called Spring City, and they were holed up there for a while. And then another sheriff came, who actually was a friend of Beebe's. They were holed up in this house, and they were being surrounded, and they were just going to shoot it out. But this other sheriff says, "Look, come on, let's do this." Well, when he went in, they actually had enough guys. They surrounded him. They put him in jail, and they placed him under arrest. He was then taken to Salt Lake City. He was charged with first-degree murder, and was put on trial. Now, at this point, they discovered that this guy, who was about 75 years old by now, all right, and the date of birth and the location and everything indicated this was Harry Longbaugh, the Sundance Kid. So he went to trial, and of course the verdict was guilty. And at that time, the law was if you were guilty of murder, you had to die. You had to be executed, either by hanging or by a firing squad. Well, he says, I don't want to be hung. He says, I want to be shot. Well, a new trial was scheduled, and one thing and another. The Board of Pardons finally came around and said, okay, just life in prison, okay? So he was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison, and this is where things got a little bit interesting, because I'm going to tell you about the proof of the identity of Hiram Beebe.
Oh, wow.
All right? Okay. I know we're almost out of time. I want to get this in.
I feel like I've been swimming for a mile and a half.
Okay. So he died in 1955. But verification of the identity of Hiram Beebe being identical with Harry Alonzo Longbaugh, alias Sundance Kid, has been obtained from several reliable sources. The most important of these is the family of Longbaugh himself. Notably, his nephew, a guy by the name of William Longbaugh, provided information from the diary of Samantha Longbaugh, sister of the Sundance Kid. And further proof was provided by one of the sons of his buddies who kept notes on the story of Hiram Beebe. And there's little doubt that Hiram Beebe was the notorious outlaw known as the Sundance Kid. Now, during the late 1970s, there was a writer, in fact, the guy that wrote this, interviewed a Dr. J.O. Jones at his home in Midvale, Utah. Dr. Jones was pretty old by this time, and he had been the attending physician at the prison during the final years of Beebe's life in the Utah State Pen. Now, Dr. Jones verified two important factors which not only verified Beebe's identity, but it explained some of the mystery behind his life. The good doctor indicated that Beebe had long suffered from a degenerative spinal disease, probably brought about due to a bullet wound in his spine. And this had a connection with another malady that was either malaria or something else, caused him to kind of waste away. He just kind of got weaker and,
From being in South America.
Probably, whatever, malaria. But anyway, this kind of helped disguise his true identity, because here's this tall, good-looking Sundance Kid. I mean, you've seen earlier pictures of him. Yeah. Good-looking guy. And now he is this kind of old, decrepit, 75-year-old guy that's hunched over. And but anyway, they think that because the way he looked, the Pinkertons didn't really pay any attention to him. Well, Dr. Jones recalled several bullet wounds and scars which matched those of known wounds inflicted upon the Sundance Kid during his career. Now, I'm going to just show you something here, Zeb.
Okay.
I know we're about out of time.
Whew, I'll tell you what, I've been in a whirlwind here.
Okay, look at all these references. Okay,
wow.
So this is not just a family story. It's been researched thoroughly.
Yeah.
Now, I went to the internet, and I found some sources that say, no, that was not the Sundance Kid. And, I don't claim to be an expert historian, but this came from a family. It's been a family story, and I don't know that it's ever been told anywhere.
Where was, I want to back up just for a minute here. Where was the family, the Longbaugh family, from originally?
He was born, I think it was back east, actually.
Okay, I thought you said New York at one time, was it? I mean, the amazing twists and turns of A, how he got hooked up with Butch Cassidy. B, I'd really like you to do some research on Etta Place.
Okay. He was born in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Yeah, in 1868.
Okay.
Near a little town called Montrose. He was one of 5 children.
And he died at almost 90 years of age.
79.
Oh.
He was 79 when he died.
All right.
In the Utah State Prison. And,
wow.
like I said, I put a lot of credibility into people's actual stories that come from something like this. So, again, some of our listeners may doubt this, and I have a little bit of question on it.
Okay, you've got some questions, but we've only got a little time left, and I want to ask you this.
Okay.
After going through and researching the books and the stories and everything else about Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, you don't believe they died in Bolivia, do you?
I do not. There's been too many sightings, too many things happened, too many things after they were supposedly in South America.
Really?
And Butch, his youngest sister, knows where he's buried in Washington. She has since passed away, but she knew where he's buried in Washington State somewhere under a certain name, obviously not even Butch Cassidy.
And I think I would be safe in saying that I don't believe you feel that Billy the Kid died the way that some historians say he did, and he might have been the old Brushy Bill.
You know, that's another one that I would love to find out the real story.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the fun of history, you know. You say, well, you know, all this stuff I just read and researched, it could have happened. It's legitimate, I think. And like I say, this neighbor of mine, Vicky, it's her grandfather's brother that was killed. Her grandfather was Lon Larson that was killed.
The sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff that was killed by
in Burns.
Sundance. No, not in Burns. Down in Utah.
Okay, well, you got me lost, man. I tell you, they jumped all over.
Next time I'm going to bring pictures.
Oh, my goodness. This is really, really interesting, and I hope our audience enjoyed that because you put a lot of time and effort into that.
I did. I was just so fascinated with Butch, and then by chance I ran across this story about the Sundance Kid, you know?
We're out of time.
And he was a bad guy. Sundance was not a good guy.
He was not a good guy.
No, he killed people, he robbed, he was not, as opposed to Butch, who really never killed anybody.
Yeah.
So
what are we going to talk about next week? You can't top this.
I know. Remains to
Billy
be
the
seen.
Kid. Billy the Kid. Thank you, Dr. History. And Dr. History, of course, brought to you by this program. Thank you very much. Hey, I want to remind you about Cassia County School Days coming up on Thursday at 10:10. Don't forget, our sponsor is A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. They've got a lot of new fall clothing, and they gift wrap for free, and they've got all the Cherokee scrubs, everything right there at A Child's World. Please stop in. A family store, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you very much and welcome back to our last half hour. We're going to have our guest on in just a moment. I want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're very proud to offer service you can trust, along with Lennox products that can help you stay comfortable and save you money. This fall, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a brand new Lennox system. So call them today at 678-0459 or visit them online at Rams. I just had a fly almost knock my microphone over at Ramsey'sOnline.com. Proudly offering Lennox products, just another way and reason why they want to make you feel better. Why? Oh, these flies all of a sudden came in. They must be on their last hurrah. Anyhow, let's go to the telephone, and we're going to be visiting with a lawyer with the Pacific Legal Foundation, a great organization I always look forward to hearing from. And we say good morning to Casey Royer. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Well, I got a lot of flies in my office this morning, and if you hear a loud splatch, I'm trying to get some of them.
Oh, they must be in there trying to escape the cold.
No, it's not that cold, believe me. Casey, there's a couple of things I want to do this morning, and with your expertise, I know we can shift gears and get to everything. First of all, I called Colin last week and asked if I could have someone on the air and talk to me quickly about why at the Senate hearings for Kavanaugh last week, there was a condemnation about you and the Pacific Legal Foundation. Why did Senator Whitehouse, a Democrat from Rhode Island, have so much animus about the Pacific Legal Foundation?
Pacific Legal Foundation actually has a history with Senator Whitehouse. Back in 2001, our law firm litigated a case out of Rhode Island where he was the Attorney General, and we actually went all the way to the Supreme Court with that case, and we won at the Supreme Court against him. So he has a little bit of animus left over from that case. And also, he's not as pro-property rights as we are. We believe that people have a right to own property and use their property, and we believe the Constitution protects that right. And he seems to have a problem with that and a problem with public interest law firms that do what we do.
I thought that you handled that very well, and I really perked up my ears when I heard Whitehouse saying things to Kavanaugh regarding Pacific Legal Foundation. So thank you for that clarification. Now, I want you to shift gears a little bit, if you could, and talk about a story, and I want you to give us a thumbnail sketch of what this story is and how it came about, because it involves friends of mine, people that I know very well that live less than 20 miles away from me as the crow flies, and that's the story about the sage grouse suit here in the state of Idaho. Give us a sketch as to how all this has come together.
Yes. So, as your listeners may remember, I was on a couple months ago to talk about this case. It's a case where these brothers, the Pickett brothers, are suing the federal government for failing to comply with the law when it enacted what are commonly known as the sage grouse rules. The sage grouse rules impose very strict restrictions on people who wish to use federal lands, in particular grazers, people who have cattle that want to graze their cattle on federal lands. And these restrictions are very controversial because there was a big process that the states went through to come up with rules that worked for everyone, that were a good compromise, and the federal government ignored those and enacted very strict and burdensome rules. They cost a lot of money to people in the West. But when the government did that, the agencies did that, they didn't send the rules to Congress for review, as is required by the Congressional Review Act. And the Pickett brothers decided to sue the federal government, saying, you can't enforce these rules against us because they're illegal. They didn't follow the legal process that was put in place for them. Recently, the Idaho governor and the Senate and House decided to join our lawsuit in support of the Picketts because these kind of rules and this ignoring of the Congressional Review Act severely hurts Idaho's citizens, and it affects the state tremendously.
Well, now, let me ask you this, Casey. Who are the people on the other side of the story? Are they environmental groups that are feeding and fueling the fire of animosity against the grazers? Or give us a little background on that.
Yeah, so this lawsuit is against several federal agencies, in particular the Bureau of Land Management and the Forest Service.
Uh-huh.
And the reason that they enacted these rules is because in 2010, the Department of Interior determined that the sage grouse might need to be listed as threatened species. And when that happened, when they said it might need to be listed, the states went ahead and they came up with these rules and these conservation plans to save the sage grouse. And these plans were arguably successful because we've seen a big rebound in sage grouse populations, and we've seen the health of some of the sagebrush steppe return. And the Department of Interior in 2015 determined that a listing was no longer needed. But when they did that, they enacted these very restrictive and burdensome rules. We think partially at the behest of people who are encouraging them to enact these rules to kind of limit the use of federal lands for things such as livestock grazing.
You're right. Now, you keep referring to the rules, and I think we should be really definitive as to what some of the absolutely asinine rules were. Can you describe some of that for us?
Yeah, so these rules are pretty restrictive. They require a certain stubble height in some areas where the grass doesn't even get that tall. They require a lot of things from farmers and ranchers that just can't be done. They're physically, or they can't be done because of the way the rangeland is. And sometimes it restricts grazing, which has been shown to improve sage-grouse habitat. That grazing improves the chances of the bird's survival, mostly because it eliminates some of the hide, the cover for predators.
Now, Casey, was a lot of this problem with the sage-grouse and other issues that came up against farmers and ranchers across the United States, especially in the West, were they a product of the Obama administration?
Yes, they were. These rules were enacted in 2015, so the Obama administration did a lot of this. And unfortunately, we've kind of seen with this lawsuit that there is still opposition to following the law and submitting these rules to Congress, even though the administration has changed. Part of that has to do with just kind of the administrative state. These agencies, they get career bureaucrats in there, and they don't want to change their ways, and they fight these kinds of laws because they don't want to be held accountable by Congress.
Is it safe to say, Casey, with your study as a lawyer with the Pacific Legal Foundation, that we're seeing so many bureaucrats and a bureaucracy that is run amok, and it's by people that have never set foot in anything west of the Mississippi River that are dictating to us out here in the West how to live?
Yeah, so one of the main problems with the way that our government works now is Congress is delegating a lot of power to various administrative agencies. You know, you have the EPA, you have the Forest Service, the BLM. You have a lot of these, they're called alphabet soup agencies that are taking a lot of power. They're writing thousands upon thousands of laws that affect everyday Americans, and there's no way to kind of hold these agencies accountable. Part of our goal at PLF is to try to reduce the administrative state, cut back some of the power that these agencies have acquired over the years, and restore the separation of powers that our founders envisioned when they enacted the Constitution.
Well, now what about the Trump administration? I would imagine that the way Donald Trump has approached a lot of these issues, he is dumping or overturning a lot of these federal rules and regulations. Is he not?
He is, yes. He has made some progress in that he's trying to cut the red tape. He's trying to get rid of some of these burdensome laws that serve no purpose, and he's making some progress there. We've also seen some good progress in Congress as far as trying to reform some of these burdensome laws. Recently, we've seen a big push for reform of the ESA, which is good because it's outdated. It needs an update. It needs some more clarifications so that the agencies aren't abusing that rule. And I think that they're heading in the right direction. The problem is that there's still thousands of rules out there, and people are still being subjected to rules that they don't even know exist sometimes.
You know, we in the West, as I don't have to tell you, Casey, because you're involved in this every day, but we've had issues with the wolves. We've had issues with the salmon. We've had issues with the spotted owl. We've had water issues. It just seems like any time the environmental movement in this country can, they will put people in agriculture under attack.
Yes, and we see it over and over, and we see an abuse of the system where, certain things start certain things start to get better, and immediately there's a lawsuit that freezes everything up, stops things from getting better, prevents critters that are recovered fully from being taken off the Endangered Species Act list. It's a fight, and I'm glad that I get to be on the side that tries to stop some of this unnecessary and overly burdensome regulation.
Okay, so where does this lawsuit, where is it now today, and where do you hope it is in 6 months? I mean, what's the turntable look like for the next 6 months on this case?
So right now we are sitting in front of Judge Nye there in the Idaho District Court. What we're waiting on is for him to either call for a hearing or make a decision. The government has moved to dismiss our lawsuit. They say that they're not subject to judicial review on whether or not they've sent this to Congress. And we're also waiting on the judge to decide whether or not the Idaho governor and legislature can intervene on our behalf. So right now we're just kind of playing a waiting game, seeing what's going to happen next. In 6 months, hopefully we will have a decision on the motion to dismiss, hopefully saying that the court can review whether the government has sent this to Congress and hold them accountable. And hopefully the court will find that they're accountable and should have sent these rules to Congress, and that people in the West and in Idaho shouldn't be subjected to these rules until the agencies do so.
Absolutely. What about our congressional people like Senators Crapo and Risch and our other politicals? Are they doing enough to really help push the issue for the benefit of the people in agriculture?
So we saw, prior to our lawsuit, we saw a big push. I believe Senator Risch was really behind it, to ask that they were asking the agencies to send them the rules so that they could review them. They had hearings, they had asked the agency to do so, and the agency has refused. So they really did all that they could do from the congressional side to try to get these rules before them. And there wasn't much more that they could do, and that's where we had to step in and say, okay, the agencies are refusing to do this. It's time to take some judicial action and sue them for not doing so.
Casey, would you say as an attorney that after you've read the rules per se and the regulations that they were basically frivolous and unrealistic?
There are some good aspects of these rules, but there are also some very bad aspects of these rules. And part of the congressional review process is to take a hard look at this and see if the agency acted frivolously, to see if the agency is acting outside of the scope of the power that Congress granted to it. That's why the Congressional Review Act was enacted, and that's the goal of it. And so the Congress has asked to see these rules because they think that these rules are bad. And so hopefully we can get them sent to Congress, and Congress can make that determination. We hope that they would overturn them, but it's up to them.
I hope that you will make a little notation on your calendar, and anything that changes on this case, call me back and we'll put it on the air immediately. Would you please?
Will do.
Casey, I appreciate it. Casey Royer with the Pacific Legal Foundation. And for those that do not know and hopefully want to know, what about the Pacific Legal Foundation? How can they get a hold of you, and how can they follow this and other cases?
The best way to follow this and other cases is to go to our website, pacificlegal.org. You can also read my boss's statement on Senator Whitehouse and why he thinks we got brought up in that congressional hearing. You can follow this case that we talked about today and all of our other cases that we have.
Absolutely excellent. Casey Royer, I do very much appreciate your being on my program. And again, I extend to you any information, call back, we'll put you right on the air. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you. It's about high time we started thinking about people and lives and jobs and careers more so than just the environmental movement. We got to get a weather forecast on here, and the weather this hour, holy moly, Zeb, you're burning time here. The weather brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. Oh, delicious, delicious meats. At 331 North Road, Jerome, with Don Scarrow and the crew. And the number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Boy, you got kind of a big picnic going on this next weekend. It's going to be perfect. Maybe you better try the marinated pork ribs or all the different barbecue packages of beef and pork and chicken. That's absolutely fantabulous. You're going to love it. Get a hold of them today, Scarro's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be a beautiful day here in the valley. Here is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. Expecting sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 80. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 49. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 74. By tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, clouds are going to be rolling into the valley. We are expecting mostly cloudy skies for Wednesday night with a low of 49. Those clouds are going to stick around for Thursday. Mostly cloudy skies with a high of 72. Overnight low of 45. Hopefully by Friday we'll see a little bit more sunshine. We are expecting mostly sunny skies with a high of 74. Warming up to 77 under sunny skies for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody this hour by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome, the number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarro's Meats. There was a picture in the newspaper this morning that absolutely infuriated me, and I draw your attention to this picture. If you have a subscription to the Times News, I want you to look this picture up. It shows and I use this term loosely because I wonder what kind of a father he really is. It shows a father carrying a young boy. The young boy looks to be no more than maybe 4 years old, in the ravages of smoky conditions and fires. And when you look at this picture, first of all, your heart goes out somewhat to the father and this child, but then you read the caption, and it says, "A Palestinian protester carries a boy as he runs from tear gas fired by Israeli soldiers during a protest near the border with Israel." And it gives the reader the idea, what in the world? Why in the world would someone want to take their child or any young child anywhere close to where there could be havoc and mayhem, like on the border at Israel? And it also infuriates me because it puts all the blame, the caption says 10 Palestinians wounded in Israeli blockade protest. Why is there always in this country, it seems like lately, a quick condemnation of Israel, our best ally in the Middle East by far, and our biggest friend, a condemnation of Israel? And they go on to say in this caption, Monday's demonstration led by Gaza's Hamas, which is a terror organization, was in part due to the protest of the blockade set up by Israel. But I looked at this picture and I thought, what in the world is the matter with people that would possibly take a young child, their child, or anybody's child, or allow these children to be anywhere near the mayhem and possible death that would be right there with these protests on the border? Unbelievable. Look at that picture and see if you don't have the same feeling that I did. Then also, quick note here, California is set to have a goal of phasing out electricity produced by fossil fuels by 2045. under legislation signed yesterday by good old Governor Moonbeam, Jerry Brown, who said the policy should serve as a model for other states and nations. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Maybe not in my lifetime, but shortly thereafter, California is going to be completely without any reliable energy. None. Want to thank our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and the key word is serving. And right now, they're having a great big, huge fall tire sale with all the tires for your car, your pickup, your SUV, and many of which are on sale right now at that fall tire sale, like the Backcountry all-terrain tire for your pickups and SUVs, all-season tread, advanced noise reduction. You better go in and check it out. It's on sale now. And don't forget, besides all the tires, they've got the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians. And, of course, front-end alignments, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more. All 7 locations really care. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. None better, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got a couple of birthdays I want to mention today. One in particular, Don Craner, and used to live out south of me, and very good friend. He's having a birthday today, so happy birthday, D. Craner. And one of my grandsons, Jake's oldest boy up in Nampa, is going to be having a birthday on Thursday, so I got to remember that. I'm going to try to call him maybe and catch him and put him on the phone. Austin is the boy's name. He would be my number 4 grandson. So there you go. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06, and we've got a lot of great guests planned for tomorrow. Dave Bigo, we're going to have immigration expert Maria Espinoza on, and oh boy, at 10 o'clock, look out, here he comes, the incredible bulk from the Idaho Fishing Game, and that's Kelton Hatch. So all of that tomorrow, along with your phone calls. So tune in at 8:06. We'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours till 11 o'clock right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live all over the world on the internet, zebbell.com, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. Have a good day.